And we are back live at ringside in Las Vegas to get ready for the 112-pound fight between Jorge Arce and Rosendo Alvarez. Alvarez actually weighed in at 115, so now they are in effect fighting in the 115-pound weight class. You see the 9-year age advantage for Arce, 2.5-inch height advantage.
Emphasis on clean, effective punching. Jim!
This fight is called a special attraction now because Alvarez came in 3 pounds over the 112-pound flyweight limit. It also cost him $25,000 going to Arce, which is maybe a third to a half of his purse, and which has to really hurt him deeply and perhaps motivate him, because as Jim was referring to earlier, they got into a fight in the ring after Arce beat one of Alvarez's fighters. Alvarez's wife promotes the fights and has 34 fighters under contract. They live in Los Angeles and promote fights throughout Central America.
Including Managua, Nicaragua, the hometown of Ricardo Mayorga, whose face you just saw a few minutes ago in the promo for his upcoming fight against Oscar De La Hoya. Rosendo Alvarez fought twice against the great Ricardo Lopez, who retired unbeaten and really came close to losing only twice, because there are many observers who think that Alvarez deserved victory in both of those fights. One ended in a technical draw, the other in a close decision for
Well, they've actually offered me to go on there and do some dancing, but I don't think they scored the boogie too well. Plus, I've got big feet, you know. It'd be a sad sight if I step on, you know, a girl's foot that's, you know.
What about a lilting reggae dancing show down in Jamaica, perhaps, huh?
Sounds good.
A little bit more in the gene structure? Let's go up to Michael Buffer for the official introductions here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated and Don King Productions, in association with Caesar's Palace, Wynn Las Vegas, and La Cerveza Más Fina Corona Extra, present a WBC interim world title bout. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the 3 judges at ringside scoring this contest will be Bert Clements, Chuck Hassett, and Dalby Shirley, and when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action inside the ring, Vic Draculich. And now, on the line, the WBC Interim World Championship, 12 rounds of boxing in the flyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing gray with red, official weight, 115 pounds, professional record, 36 victories, including 24 knockouts, with only 2 defeats and 2 bouts even. From Managua, Nicaragua, the challenger, Rosendo Alvarez. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing green with blue, official weight, 111 pounds, professional record, 43 victories, including 33 knockouts, only 3 defeats, with 1 bout even. Damas y caballeros de los Mochis, Mexico, the defending WBC Interim World Flyweight Champion, Jorge El Travieso Arce.
Everybody out, let's go.
How you doing, Mike?
All right. All right, gentlemen, this is for the WBC interim flyweight title. You've received your instructions in the dressing room. Again, I want to caution you. Any punch below this point are going to be called low. Golpes debajo de este punto ser llamado bajo. With that said, I want you to obey my commands, protect yourselves at all times. Obedezca mis comandos y protegerse a sí mismo siempre. Good luck to both of you. Buena suerte a ambos ustedes. Touch them up. Good luck.
Arce.
Well, they didn't just touch gloves, they banged gloves. Go ahead.
Arce has a 4-year-old daughter, Michelle, who blows imaginary magic dust on him before fights to protect him. She did it by telephone this time and says she has an inexhaustible supply for her dad.
Well, he's no longer sucking on the lollipop, though surely when he saw that, Alvarez was thinking, I want to knock it all the way down his throat. And just to make the point again, at the end of the referee's instructions, when commonly fighters will touch gloves in a show of sportsmanship, they banged gloves in a show of extreme dislike. Alvarez starts out going to the body. Arce is the longer of the two fighters. It's a little odd to say that when guys are this size. How do little guys like this fight? If you haven't seen it before, usually furiously and feverishly. Though this is, Lennox, the classical tactical first round.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a chess match in a way. They're both used to each other. I'm sure they've watched a lot of tape on each other, so, you know, first round is always like this.
And referee Vic Jakulic says to Rosendo Alvarez, keep him up. You can tell during referee's instructions that Arce wanted to say something about the height of Alvarez's trunks to Jakulic, but there was a language barrier. So maybe Arce just figured, okay, I'll take care of it during the fight.
Arce looks much the bigger, stronger man. But Alvarez forever will be remembered for those two fights against the great Lopez. Arce has not come close to fighting anybody of that stature yet.
Lennox, when you're on the short end of a questionable decision like that, do you walk away saying to yourself, the heck with the judges, I'm sure I won that fight. In my mind, I treat it as a victory. Is that the natural instinct of the fighter?
Yeah, definitely, because I remember when I boxed Evander Holyfield first fight, and the judges went against me, and I definitely felt I won that fight. But I felt good because the whole country, the whole world actually seen who the better fighter was. So.
Oh, no, Lennox, they gave you a draw. At least you got to keep the title, right? March 13, 1999 at Madison Square Garden. An atrocity long since forgotten.
Arce has not jumped on Alvarez as many expected as yet.
No, he's shown him respect. In fact, after the show of dislike at the end of referee's instructions, they have both fought an exceedingly respectful first round. There may be a red spot outside the right eye already of Jorge Arce.
Well, he's not a stranger to blood coming from various parts of his head. Now they're talking to each other with their fists and their tongues.
You're managing real well with the left. Yeah. Don't get over anxious. Deep breaths. We're doing fine.
Sigue manejándolo de esa. Si te lo dejas acercar y luego tú ya veas si te quedas ahí.
No hay nada, I'm fine. Come on.
Okay, no problem.
I'm going to get him now. Don't get overconfident now. Yeah. He said there was a punch. Don't just stand right there. Jab, feint, and throw the combination.
There was that roundhouse left hook that landed on the eye and may have caused that abrasion.
It took about a minute for Jorge Arce to incur a cut over the right eye. On the undercard of one of the Pacquiao-Morales fights here last year, Arce and Hussein of Australia fought a blood-curdlingly violent fight in which Jorge bled from start to finish and won, ultimately by TKO. So as Larry says, he's no stranger to fighting with blood on him and eventually blood on the opponent.
You wonder if Arce isn't doing Alvarez a favor by not pressing the action. Alvarez is almost 36. He had difficulty making the weight, which indicates that training may not have gone well.
Well, it suggests that maybe Arce has questions about his own condition, and he's known to party and have a good time, that's for sure. Or perhaps he has a certain respect for the fact that Alvarez weighs 115, or weighed in at 115, outweighed him by 4 pounds yesterday, which could create at least a small power differential at this level of weight.
See, when you have to lose weight, it's always easier to get cut because you don't have that liquid to help you, that weight to help you. So it's easier to get cut. And this is what most boxers have to go through, especially when they have to lose weight.
Not just the cutting, but the swelling too, right, Lennox?
Yeah, definitely the swelling.
Yeah, because last month here, or a month and a half ago here in Las Vegas, when Fernando Vargas fought Shane Mosley, many people wondered, you know, there was violence on both sides in the fight. Why did Vargas's eye swell so badly? Well, Vargas was the one who had to lose 40 or 45 pounds to get ready for the fight. And Shane Mosley is a gym rat whose skin will never change, right?
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, some guys don't prepare for it because they need to get hits. You know, sometimes when it comes down to the last 4 weeks before a fight, some boxers don't like to spar, which they should, because what happens, they get their face used to getting punched.
And now, Larry, Arce begins to open up just a little bit more, trying to apply a little bit more pressure in the fight, but Alvarez has been very skilled so far and has landed some good, solid shots when Arce throws. Good left hook by Arce. Comes back with a left hook to the body. Now Arce really beginning to let his hands go as he backs Alvarez up against the ropes.
Alvarez is showing some good defense. He's not getting hit with no silly punches, which is good.
Like there, where he's blocking some of those or only letting them graze him. 15th year as a professional for Alvarez.
Good fight. Both guys throwing consistently, and both guys landing some solid blows. Once again, let's look at what's coming up on HBO pay-per-view May 6th.
De La Hoya has the most satisfying win of his career.
He's back, and he's ready to fight the unpredictable and relentless Ricardo Mayorga. This time to win, he must be willing to enter the danger zone. Oscar De La Hoya, Ricardo Mayorga. Danger Zone, Saturday, May 6th, live on pay-per-view. Contact your pay-per-view provider to order.
Everything is fine. We're fine. Hey, we're just having fun here. We're gonna win. Don't worry about a thing.
I think Arce feels he could narrate the fight as he fights it.
Well, Larry wondered when Arce was going to open up and put pressure on Alvarez, and he responded by throwing 117 punches in the second round, landing 29. Alvarez, a more measured base, 35 out of 81, 156 combined power shots in the round. 35 out of 81 shows you that Alvarez is very accurate and is picking his spots well and carefully against the more aggressive Arce, at least in the latter part of the second round. Good right hand over the top by Jorge Arce. And a left hook upstairs by Arce, starting to back Alvarez up more and more. Right hand lands for Arce. Alvarez with a right hand over the top. Body shot lands for Arce. Alvarez with a right to the body. Arce comes back with a 4-punch flurry and hammers Alvarez with that left hook to the body. Lennox, I've decided that if I can have one weapon in my next life to help me toward greater advantages in my existence, it would be the left hook to the body. I believe you'll win more fights and persuade more people with that punch than any other.
I know some people would probably want to pick the right hand.
Well, the right hand's a bigger factor in the heavyweight division, that's for sure.
Definitely.
But I'm no heavyweight. Round 3 of the scheduled 12, and Jorge Arce and Rosendo Alvarez are beginning to trade willy-nilly, as we expected was going to be the case.
Arce trying to impose his youth and his strength on Alvarez.
Left hook to the body.
Arce throws a good left hook. There's some good conviction behind that left hook, especially when he throws it and he kind of swoops it around.
Yeah, he's got power on his left hook. And his power is rising as the fight goes on.
He's got good leverage in his punches. It's like slamming a door when he throws that left hook.
They are talking to each other. They are taunting. They are insulting each other. This is a grudge match. Solid right hand by Alvarez. And Arce walked right through it.
I thought it lifted his right leg off the canvas for a moment, but he comes right back.
And drives Alvarez back toward the corner with a series of power shots. And Alvarez seems to be having increasing difficulty handling Arce's, as you said, Lennox, that heavily leveraged left hook.
And for some reason, Alvarez is smiling through all of that.
Just a little bit earlier, our Larry Merchant spoke with Floyd Mayweather in the locker room.
Floyd, which Judah do you expect to see tonight? The one who fled from Baltimore, or the one who beat Spinks?
The one who beat Spinks, Corey Spinks the second time. I mean, I expect Judah to be at his best. I'm going to be at my best. It's a good matchup. You know, I'm in the best shape of my life. You know, I know what it takes. I've been here before. Hard work.
A lot of people have questioned his chin. We've seen him crumble. Do you think you're going to knock him out?
Like I said before, I don't think it's going to go the distance. Boxing is my job. Boxing is what I love. And, you know, I'm here to put on pleasing performances and pleasing fights for the fans. And the fans love knockouts. They love performances. I'm an entertainer. So at the end of the day, they want an explosion, you know, after the performance. So, you know, it won't go the distance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Larry, would you say, let's get to this later. First of all, 3 rounds in, the beginning of the 4th round of a terrific fight so far between Arce and Alvarez. And Harold Letterman, how do you have it through it?
Okay, Jim, 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, Jorge Arce. Jim, in round 1, I thought Rosendo Alvarez did a nice job. You know, landed some real good shots, but in rounds 2 and 3, Arce really picked it up, drove Alvarez into the ropes, kept the pressure on, landed the hardest shots. Now, as to the cut over Arce's right eye, Vic Draculish never said that it was a headbutt. If that cut gets worse, Arce loses on a TKO.
No, indeed, the Nevada State Athletic Commission put up a sign saying that the cut was caused by a punch. Arce, and our replay confirmed that, and Arce threw more than 120 punches in the 2nd round, more than 130 punches in the 3rd round, and once again they are letting their hands go freely here in the 4th. Lennox, you agree with Harold that Arce is controlling the fight so far?
Yeah, he's definitely controlling the fight. He's throwing in a lot more punches, but is he being effective? This is what we have to see, because right now Alvarez is looking good. He's not getting hit with too many punches, which is great, but he's definitely answering when it comes to punches.
Landed a flush right hand there. Now as we watch them continue to fight and insult and taunt each other, Arce's making a lot of noise in there. Larry, off your interview with Floyd Mayweather, would you say that the world's best fighter is becoming more adept at saying the right things and being fan-friendly?
I think in his 10th year as a pro, he really has started to get it. That it's not only what you do in the ring, although obviously that's the most important thing. It's how you communicate with the public through the media, how you conduct your life, and make sure that the headlines are about what happens in the ring and not outside the ring. And I think he feels that he had to pay a lot of dues to win the unofficial title of best fighter in the world pound for pound, and he sort of seems a little bit more responsible about it all now.
And between rounds, we expect to hear Larry talking to Zab Judah, the opponent for Floyd Mayweather Jr. tonight. Incidentally, one of our cameramen on the ring apron, the very great Luis Vasquez, speaks Spanish. And he tells us that what Arce is repeatedly saying to Alvarez in there is that Arce's girlfriend hits him harder than Alvarez does. Over and over, that's what he's saying. Here's Larry with Zab Judah.
Zab, you've talked about your inconsistency. Which Zab Judah do we see tonight? The one we saw against Baldomir or the one we saw in the rematch with Spinks?
Well, you got Zab Judah here that worked hard, dedicated himself, sacrificed his life, knowing that tonight everything's riding, and I'm a clutch player. And I'll come through when it's time to come through.
What vulnerabilities do you see in Mayweather, a fighter who other people say is as good as there is?
Mayweather, you know, I mean, he's a great fighter. He has tremendous hand speed. You know what I'm saying? He has decent power. He's smart, you know. But tonight, I feel like it's just my night. There's nothing that Mayweather could bring to the table tonight that can stop me.
So you just feel that so much is riding for you that you cannot be stopped.
It's not my plans, Larry. It's God's plans. I'm just here just to deliver the work.
Thank you.
CombiBox numbers through 4. Average per round. Arce 26 out of 110. Alvarez 24 out of 68. When one guy is throwing 110 punches per round and most of them are power punches and he's landing at an appreciable rate, he's got the best chance to win a decision. So Alvarez is going to have to hope that his well-chosen counter punches, landing flush frequently as they are, can hurt Arce as the fight goes on.
You know, coming into this fight, Jim, because Alvarez came in overweight, I was reminded of a fight we saw a couple of months ago with Too Sharp Johnson, who had been a really dominant, outstanding flyweight, but he couldn't make the weight. And after 5 or 6 rounds, he decided that that was enough. He didn't want any more of this from a young guy. Let's see how Alvarez does this.
Lennox, it seems it can be helpful to boxing when the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport is popular and has a large fan following. Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones later in his career. Should Floyd Mayweather be concerned about how he relates to the public, or is his job simply to keep winning fights?
I think his job is to keep winning fights and definitely, you know, obviously do his public service and, you know, give the public what they want. Like you said, he's an entertainer out there, and he's on stage every time he steps into the ring, so he wants to go out there and definitely perform and in his words shine, and he's definitely doing a good job at that.
You know, Jim, I don't know why there isn't room to do both. In other words, fighters have a lot of time between fights, and even when they're training, they have time on their hands. So you don't have to do one to the exclusion of the other. Although certainly Judah has done that before this fight, freezing out the media because he says he had to concentrate on the fight itself.
Well, I mean, some people think that he was saying that just to justify what he had said after losing to Baldomir in January, which was, I had to do too many interviews last week of the fight at the behest of Don King.
Right.
Well, I know when I'm boxing, I don't really like to talk to the media. I'm really focused. I just want to go in there and get the job done. I can talk to the media afterwards, after I've won.
But there's a responsibility that at least you show up and you know,
he said it affected him. So, you know, this time he's trying a different method. You know, you have to do whatever works for you.
We will see if Zab Judah rises to the level of effectiveness he is trumpeting for himself tonight. And if so, maybe it was a good thing to avoid media in the weeks leading up to the fight.
Come on, take it as protection. Give him some water.
Rosendo, tiene que moverte más. Tu
You
guardia
gotta
más arriba,
move
¿ok? Estás cogiendo mucho
quicker.
golpe.
You're taking too many shots. You gotta move back. Don't be taking those punches.
¿Ok?
Come on, he takes a lot of punches, so get him. I'm gonna hit him in the body. It hurts him.
It hurts everybody. Thomas and Mack Center is filling up. Good-sized crowd already on hand. Zab Judah and Floyd Mayweather mentally preparing in their dressing rooms for the main event. Jorge Arce and Rosendo Alvarez trading leather in the ring. As Larry told you, Arce's 112-pound world title not at stake here tonight because Alvarez weighed in at 115. Couldn't make weight for the fight.
There's another factor, one of the crazy sanctioning mob rulings. There is somebody in the WBA, I believe this is, that is the flyweight champion of the world, a unified flyweight champion. So Arce is an interim champion, a sub-champion. We can't get enough champions.
A way to distribute more belts, right?
More belts, more sanctioning fees. The more the merrier, and sometimes the more the sadder.
This is beginning to become a little bit more one-sided than we might have expected, Lennox.
I agree. Arce is definitely taking control of the fight. He's throwing a lot of punches. I'm surprised. This round kind of took the punch count a bit lower, but the last couple rounds he's been throwing a lot of punches.
An astonishing number, yes, really. I mean, sort of like Jose Cotto in the preceding fight. Arce's been throwing 125, 130 punches in the round. Just imagine if you did that some night. Just imagine if you went out some night and threw 120 punches around.
I don't think anybody can keep up with me.
Oh, left hook to the body, and Alvarez puts the knee down.
This is where Too Sharp Johnson didn't get up, if you recall, and I think in this very same round.
Alvarez actually told his corner.
Same thing. Virtually the same thing that happened with Too Sharp Johnson and Johnny Gonzalez.
Alvarez told his corner, I'm going to hit him in the body. I think I heard him.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit him in the body.
I mean,
Arce
told him that. Yeah, that's exactly right. Arce called the shot, as Lennox points out, saying to the corner, I hit him in the body, it'll hurt him.
Really, that's the end of his career, presumably.
Well, I mean, he's a terrific fighter, Alvarez, with a long and outstanding career. But unfortunately, as the rounds went on, he became, for Jorge Arce, just another lollipop.
And, you know, facing an older fighter who will come out and give you the best he's got for a few rounds, but it's not enough. We've seen this scenario many, many times. And as I've indicated, the last time just a couple of months ago with
Absolutely.
Johnson.
That was on the undercard of Fernando Vargas and Shane Mosley. Johnson writing finite to his career after a moment very much like that one. And this is the second body punch knockout we've seen tonight. Julio Cesar Chavez starched his opponent with exactly the same punch. Remember Bernard Hopkins against Oscar De La Hoya? Remember Arturo Gatti against Leonard Doring? Over and over and over in the past few years, we have seen one punch, body shot, knockouts.
It's so interesting. I mean, we've seen, seems like thousands of punches landed in the last two fights, most of them on the head, and yet the only knockdown comes from a body blow.
I repeat, in my next life, the left hook to the body. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 1 minute, 54 seconds of round number 6. The winner by knockout victory, and still WBC interim world flyweight champion, Jorge El Travieso Arce.
Final CompuBox numbers for Jorge Arce and Rosendo Alvarez. You see that Arce landed 19 more punches, threw exactly 250 more punches in 5+ rounds. And the lower connect percentage for Arce didn't mean a thing because it was the sheer abundance of power punches that ultimately did Alvarez in. Power punches, and this was, of course, the story of the fight because there were very few jabs, really. Arce 132 out of 492 and Alvarez 99 out of 241. All in all, another dominating victory for the fighter who has become world dominant at 108 and now at 112 pounds, Jorge Arce. He's